A critical safety warning has just been issued for the entire Airbus A350 fleet. We're talking about EASA's Proposed Airworthiness Directive 2572, and it addresses a risk that has some pretty severe consequences. So we're going to break down exactly what operators need to know, what you need to do, and why this directive is so urgent.
EASA is not messing around here. They don't use language like this lightly. This single phrase immediately tells you everything you need to know about the stakes. This isn't just some routine check. We're talking about preventing a potential catastrophe. So what's the issue that could lead to something so serious?
All right, let's dig in. Section 1 is all about understanding the unsafe condition. We're going to get to the bottom of the specific mechanical failure that triggered this whole thing.
So, where does this all start? Well, it's with something that sounds almost deceptively simple: loose fasteners. During maintenance, technicians started finding these loose fasteners on the Nacelle Anti-Icing, or NAI, forward bulkhead. Now, once that aircraft is in the air, those loose parts are just sitting there, subject to constant, intense vibration.
And here's the chain reaction. That constant vibration starts to wear down the locating holes that the fasteners are supposed to be securing. They literally stretch out and become elongated. This physical damage directly impacts the performance of the entire NAI system, making it less effective.
And this is the absolute crucial point. The ultimate risk here is the potential for an undetected loss of anti-icing protection, not just on one engine, but on both engines at the same time. You can imagine, in severe icing conditions, this could quickly become an unrecoverable situation for the flight crew, leading right to that worst-case scenario.
Now, it's really important to know that this isn't a brand new issue. This pad actually supersedes a previous directive from 2024. But, and this is a big but, it introduces a critical new inspection threshold that, frankly, makes compliance a whole lot trickier. Let's look at what's required.
Okay, Section 2. Let's get down to the key requirements. This is the part where we break down the specific, mandatory actions that every single operator has to take.
First up, who's affected? This directive applies to all A350 941 and 1041 models. The aircraft are put into what's called Group 1 if they have one of these specific engine air inlet cowl part numbers installed. It is absolutely essential for operators to check their records and verify their fleet against these exact part and serial numbers.
So what do you have to do? The mandatory action is a Special Detailed Inspection, or SDI. All the step-by-step instructions are laid out in the Airbus Service Bulletin. And let's be clear, this isn't optional. It's a mandatory check of every single affected part out there.
Now, this right here, this is the real game changer in this new directive. EASA has mandated that the inspection must not be done until the part has racked up at least 2,000 flight cycles. Why? Because they need to be sure that if a defect is there, it's had enough time to develop to a point where it can be detected with high confidence. Inspecting too early could give you a false sense of security.
This creates a really interesting compliance puzzle. You've got two calendar deadlines, either 7-8 months after the original directive's date or 144 months since the plane was delivered, whichever comes first. But here's the kicker. Neither of those deadlines can be acted on until the part itself hits that magic number of 2,000 flight cycles. That's 2,000 takeoffs and landings.
So what happens if your calendar deadline shows up, but the part is still under 2,000 cycles? This is where your planning team really earns their keep. The inspection has to be deferred until that 2,000 cycle mark is hit. But as soon as it does, a new clock starts ticking, and you've only got a tiny 50-cycle window to get that inspection done. This makes tracking the history of individual parts absolutely critical.
And if that inspection finds anything, and I mean anything, that aircraft is grounded, period. Operators have to contact Collins Aerospace for approved repair instructions before it can fly again. On top of that, all results, even if you find nothing wrong, have to be reported within 30 days. This data is vital for EASA to understand the health of the entire fleet.
Okay, so we've covered the technical side. Now let's talk about what this all means for day-to-day operations and for the management teams who have to make it all happen.
When you boil it all down, compliance really comes down to 4 key actions. 1. Your camo team has to be all over the flight cycle data for each individual part. 2. Planners have to figure out how to slot this unique, floating inspection into the maintenance schedule. 3. Management needs to have a plan and resources ready for an immediate AOG situation. And 4. You've got to make sure that reporting loop gets closed every single time.
For anyone in leadership, the goal is pretty straightforward. It's a balancing act. You have to ensure 100% safety compliance while at the same time keeping the operation stable. The only way to do that is with proactive planning based on solid flight cycle forecasts. That's how you avoid having a plane grounded unexpectedly by this directive.
All right, let's wrap this up. Section 4, the final, non-negotiable instructions that every single operator needs to take away from this.
Let me be perfectly clear. There is zero ambiguity here. Compliance is mandatory. And because of the complex nature of this pad, with its floating threshold, you absolutely have to have seamless coordination between your airworthiness, planning, and maintenance teams. Everyone has to be on the same page.
And that really leaves us with one critical question you should be asking your own teams. This directive isn't just about a single inspection. It's a stress test of your entire data management and planning system. So the question is, are your programs agile enough to handle these kinds of floating compliance deadlines? Because this probably won't be the last time you see one. Thanks for joining us, Explainer.